Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today we continue our journey through the closed beta test of the Blue Water Fleet of the French Navy, and today I will have a closer look at the first of the two dreadnoughts, the Paris, battle rating 6.3 and of rank 5. Its predecessor is the Colbert heavy cruiser in the tech tree, which I have not played, but I definitely want to have a look at. And the successor will be the Lorraine at 6.7, and that is, in my opinion, the worst ship, even though it has bigger guns and is a much more modernized version. So the Paris is in its 1939 version of the Courbet class, and that means that the AA is not really that present. You have a couple of heavy machine guns and 7.75mm guns, and that's it. You have 22 138.6mm secondaries, 11 per side in casemate mountings, and they're very interesting because while they have a reload of 10 seconds, they have some ammunition to talk about. The HE has 3.4 kilograms of yield, which is considerable for that caliber, and also because you fire 11 per salvo reload, that's quite something. But there are two different types of sap, with the better one, well, both have the same TNT yield of 2.93 kilograms, and the better one has a slightly more penetration with 73mm at 1000 meters falling off drastically, and at 10 kilometers it is against all angles 34mm, indicating that this is the penetration that's caused by the TNT charge or TNT equivalent charge, and that will hurt patrol boats, destroyers, some light cruisers, and also maybe heavy cruisers or other battleships if you hit them in the softer parts like superstructures, secondaries, etc. And so they can help you in the DPM. The main reason why I think that the Paris is better than the Lorraine is actually the main guns. First of all, you have more of them, giving you a broadside of 10 guns, because you have overall 12 guns, but you have wing turrets, so a maximum broadside of 10 guns with a faster reload. Instead of 30 seconds, you have 28.1 seconds, and since your main targets will be cruisers, it's not that important how good your shells are, because with 305mm or 12-inch guns, they will deal with kind of any cruiser, normal cruiser, and so more DPM is just better, especially if you shoot at Helenas. And this is where it gets interesting. You have only two ammo types. The stock HE has 66mm of penetration from a 27.7 kilogram TNT yield and a high muzzle velocity of 905 meters per second. And then you have, as the AP, which is a tier 1 modification, the OPF MLE 1910 APC, and indeed it is an APC round, not an APCBC round, and that seems to work a bit better against Helenas, at least in, well, my experience, because I got here and there quite the interesting one-shots. And is it the plunging fire? Was it all freak shots, slug shots, or is it just the ammunition type working better, having some diving capacities? I don't know. It just worked relatively well versus Helenas. And we have a lower muzzle velocity of just under 800 meters per second. TNT equivalent bursting charge is 18.1 kilograms, which is quite nice for that caliber. And we have a maximum penetration of 460 millimeters at 1000 meters. At 5000 meters, it falls off to 341 millimeters, and at 10 kilometers, it's 243 millimeters. So at longer ranges, you should have, in theory, problems dealing with some angled cruisers like the Sarah class or the Des Moines class. But then most people don't angle against your guns, since to them you're mostly a bot, and most that you fire at are bots as well. So I like it, but it's not perfect. And one of the surprisingly good things is the armor. Now, at first glance, it's not spectacular for a battleship. 250mm rolled cemented armor for the main belt. We have a distributed armor scheme with a kind of a missing icebreaker. And then we have 236mm for the barbettes, at least on the upper parts. And the turret faces of 250mm are also okay-ish. Nothing to write home about. It's an old dreadnought design, so it's not really designed to withstand relatively modern shells at the same battle rating or higher. And yes, you struggle in up tiers versus more modern or more powerful battleships. Then we have 3 different decks. The upper deck 40mm, then the middle deck 30mm, and the deck above the turtleback is 42mm, same as the turtleback below it, and that is at an angle of 50 degrees. So I never got ammo detonated, but if you look for yourself, and I highly recommend you doing it, if you look at the armor view, you see that at the front there seems to be armor missing in the 3D model. I don't know if it is structural steel, I don't know if this is what the ship was like, but in theory, if somebody angles, then they should just aim at the front of the ship, or then at parts of the rear, even though that the rear is better protected with parts of 210 and 160 to 140mm of the rear belt. So the rear is better protected than the front. Cue French memes here, I guess. So let's summarize. The AA, mostly useless. The secondaries are okay-ish, but you have to show almost broadside to bring all 11th to bear with the broadside. And the main guns are not great, but also not terrible, in my opinion and in my experience. Better than the Lorraine's 340mm guns at 6.7, where you have only 8 with a longer reload. So I like the ship, but when I'm honest and I compare it to other 6.3 ships, especially to the German ones, they just have roughly the same speed problem, because you are limited to 40 kilometers per hour. And let's just talk about this for a moment. You have no float plane, no catapult fighter whatsoever. You also have no patrol boat so far that could just spawn in, for example, this scene here at A and cap it. So you have no control over the caps at all. So you have to rely on your teammate, and we all know what a pleasure that is in War Thunder. So you just have to concentrate on killing things, and that's kind of your battleship thing to do in the first place. But compare this ship to the SMS Westfalen and the SMS Helgoland, well, you already struggle against them because they have same caliber but 20-second reload. The Kaiser has the same broadside as you, also 20-second reload, and significantly better armor, and also more capable secondaries. And then there's also the Fondertan, which is then also significantly faster than you. And yeah, the Fondertan in a duel, that would be interesting if it would shoot back, you know, as an actual duel. For the US, I think it is somewhere in the region of the North Dakota, firepower and armor wise, and also speed wise. For the Soviets, I don't think that you have a fair comparison here. And for Great Britain, I also think that the likes of the Dreadnought itself is better. You might beat, or you will beat, an Invincible. And for Japan, I wouldn't really know who wins, the Setsu or the Paris. And yeah, you also have no torpedoes, right? And so you also have no lineup to go with, and I would highly advise against going alone in this thing. So right now there's also a question of the research, because you have to buy yourself into by either purchasing the Aigle, a tier 2 destroyer, or the Gontran, a tier 3 light cruiser. And you have to research rank 5s with them, and that is something I would not recommend. So your only chance is to research the Colbert and the Emile Bertin, having there a reload, some sort of lineup, right? And then putting a most effective in theory would be putting a talisman on the Colbert and grinding out the Paris, also gaining the 10% booster from the predecessor. But how the Colbert is, I still have to test it out. But yeah, it's not really worth it, right? It's not an outstanding battleship. I wouldn't really say that it is amazing. To be honest, I would prefer the Dante Alighieri to it. Um, Maybe the Andrea Doria, right? I think there are better ships that have more guns, better armor, um, more capable secondaries, in some cases even better AA, and are in the case of the Dante Alighieri also faster. So at the moment it's an okayish battleship, but nothing really amazing. And this is what I'm a little bit sad about, because we could have seen other battleships such as, for example, Dunkirk, but now we get this as one of only 2 dreadnoughts. And that's it for me today. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like with it, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.